do it.
So Joe, let me just get this straight. You're a nice Queens boy, and your whole family and you are now a Patriot fan?
Afternoon, everybody. We're back here in the barn at Pittsfield, Vermont. As always, I've got with me here today the lovely Sephra. I've got Johnny Waite and Joe De Sena, and I, of course, am Colonel Tim Nye. And today we are going to be talking about Gary, and Marion is here as well. Thank you. Today's interview is with Gary Vaynerchuk, who is a crazy energy, self-made Eastern European guy. And so he's got a lot to talk about. One of the things he talks about, or a phrase he used, was humble brag, which I wasn't really sure I knew what that was. So
we'll get into that after we watch the show. Let's watch the show and let's get into it.
You want me to take that out?
Media. Here we go. Intensity.
Yeah!
Vaynerchuck.
Woo!
Yeah. We're good. Everybody's talking. We're good. All right. We are here, Spartan Up Podcast, New York City, Gramercy Park area of New York City at Vayner Media.
Yep.
We don't know what it is. Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yes.
Right here.
Yes.
Superman.
I don't know about that. I was more a Green Lantern kind of guy, so just if you're curious.
You're Russian.
I am.
Right? You didn't know anything about computers. You weren't like a Harvard tech guy, MIT.
I'm about as far away from that as you can get.
And you got in the wine business at, what, 20 years old?
My dad had a liquor store, so, I decided I wanted to be in the wine business in my teenage years because we were in this part of New Jersey where people cared about, we were in an affluent part of Jersey, so we were shoppers discount liquors, but I didn't want to sell beer and liquor. The wine thing felt like there was storytelling, marketing behind it, so I got pretty passionate about wine at 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
I went full-time at 22, but was really full-time at 14, 15, because I was failing my classes because I was reading the Wine Spectator, and then kind of transformed.
When was the click? What happened? One day something clicks and you're like, I'm putting this online?
Yeah, you know what's funny? The one, this, where we are, Vayner Media, the one thing, I would say that I suck shit. Are we allowed to, we curse on your podcast, good. I suck shit at everything other than a couple of core things. And the big one that's given me the upside in my career is I understand what customers are going to do. I understand people.
Right.
And I knew in 1994 or 5 that people were going to buy stuff on the internet, period. And listen, for a lot of people that are listening right now, they're much younger than you and I. They don't get it. For the ones that are our age, older, you guys get it. You guys get it. It was a world in the mid-90s, where people didn't think they would buy stuff on the computer. Like putting a credit card into a computer was scary.
Would never do it.
Never.
Yeah.
So that was, I've been doing stuff that people told me people wouldn't do for a long time.
You sensed it.
I sense it, and I'm willing to invest 2, 3, 4 years ahead of time to get the payoff. This company, VaynerMedia, has gone from 0 to 475 people in the last 6 years, but we've gone from 30 to 475 in the last 3 years because we do social media marketing.
Yeah.
And in 2009, when I was selling social media marketing, nobody was buying.
So I'm going to go way back.
Please.
When did you leave Russia? How old?
1979.
And parents still ingrained in that tough.
Yeah, I grew up in America.
Yeah.
But the second I walked into my house, it was Eastern Europe.
Yeah, right.
Now, that being said, my mom is the greatest human being of all time and is warm and everything anti-Soviet you could imagine.
Right.
But when I would get sick, I would have to drink tea and go to sleep.
Sure.
Like if I take a Tylenol right now, I will get high because I have so little medicine ever in my body. Right? Yeah, I mean, it'd literally be like, Mom, I think I broke my arm. Like, go to, look, this is a true story that I've never told. I once burnt my finger, and my mom and grandma forced me to piss on it and wrap it up. Like that's I guess
I love her already. and by the way, my biggest fans are Eastern Europeans because they have something wired inside them that is not in everybody else.
Which is?
Right? I don't know, they got the right frame of reference, and they just have this sense of urgency, and they just get stuff done, right? They don't complain. They're not asking how many vacations.
They don't complain.
They don't complain, right?
Stop right there.
Your mom has you pissing on your hand.
My mom, the number one thing that I'm attracted to in my mother is that she doesn't complain. My mom lost her mom at 5. My mom married my dad. I'm just kidding, Dad, but like he's a character. Yeah. My mom, lost her dad at 20, so no parents at 20. Came to this country with nothing, like intense stuff that I don't even feel comfortable saying out loud. And she just is incapable of complaining. And at some level, I took that DNA, and out of all the things that I am, for me to humble brag, I would say the fact that I don't complain. Every time there's a problem with anything here, I take full responsibility. I love people that don't complain. I love it.
No, and so I'm so glad you're saying this, because the whole podcast is about that.
Is it?
Well, in this sense, what is going to make somebody successful? Whether you want to be the best monk,
right,
entrepreneur, car mechanic, whatever it is, right? It's this ability to just stay super focused, have a sense of urgency, not complain about the stuff that gets in your way.
You know what's interesting? I would layer another thing, and I'm curious what your take on this is. I think the big one is self-awareness.
Explain it.
If you know who you are,
right,
then by nature you'll probably bet on your strengths. If you bet on your strengths, you'll win.
Right.
In 4th grade, when I got an F in Mr. Molinar's science class, I knew right then and there that I was a shit student, and I didn't give a crap about Saturn. And no joke, from that moment on, I can taste it in my mouth right now. I remember everything about this day. I hid the test in my drawer because I needed to get it signed. This was old school 80s school stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't show my mom, and then my conscience got the best of me, and I cried. And it was all weird. But what I remember more than anything was at that moment, because I'd already done lemonade, and I already sold random stuff around the house door to door, I was like, I'm a businessman. That's what I called it back then. And that's it. And I'm never going to hedge. And it came from self-awareness and self-esteem, right? My mom was making me feel good,
right,
and I knew who I was. And I would tell you that is urgency, speed matters.
Yeah.
I believe in that. But if somebody who's listening, watching right now, if they really know who they are, look, if my daughter wants to stand outside and do street art for 19 hours a day, I'm all in. As long as she's aware that that's what's going to make her the happiest, right? I got lucky that the thing that made me the happiest by public standards is something that makes me money and makes me deemed successful.
Sure.
But boy, I'd be super pumped being all in on anything, right? As long as you just know.
Yeah, so I like.
You know
that.
what I mean?
I like that. I mean, one of the things I believe in is true north, knowing what's your legacy going to be, and I guess that's what you're really saying. Is understand yourself.
So I'm obsessed with legacy. We're getting to know each other. I have something that's called legacy is greater than currency. Okay. I'm obsessed with legacy. Okay. I'm so egotistical that basically every single thing I do in life is predicated on the narrative that's going to be written about me when I die. Basically everything I do is based on my legacy,
right,
and I think that's right. And I think when you tie this conversation together, I think I have a chance at a legacy that will be talked about more than just within inside of a family, because I'm so self-aware. Because I know what I'm good at and I know what I suck at, and I spend all my time on...
Focus on the good.
America sells you. There's a lot of money made in this society on selling you on what you're not good at.
Right.
Lose some weight, get smarter, this and that. It's really easy to play to that.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I just really think about betting on your strengths.
I like that a lot. That's good stuff. Spartan race, you know much about what we do? Mm. So we're putting somebody out in basically a military-inspired obstacle course.
Yep.
G.I. Jane,
yep,
remember the old movie G.I.?
Yep.
And they're crawling under barbed wire, they're
yep,
climbing over walls. And
I'm familiar to that degree.
Yeah, and we beat them up, and they hit a proverbial wall, some physical, actual walls, and they hit a wall somewhere in there, and they've got...
And how much is it physical versus mental in your expert opinion?
It all starts, if I said, hey, we're going to run a marathon today,
yeah,
right? Both of us start out physical. At some point, maybe mile 3, you're tired. Mile 4, I'm tired. Now it's mental. The next 21, 22 miles, right? It's mental. So at some point, the human body gives up.
Right.
I just read about some monks in Japan.
Yeah.
They do 100 days of marathons, 100 days straight. Up the mountain, down the mountain. They're not allowed to speak, this whole thing. And they got to carry a knife tied in their arm. If they fail, if they give up on day 98, got to kill themselves.
For real?
Yeah, for real.
And people kill themselves.
Oh yeah, and you see graves along the way, like this guy couldn't make it, killed himself. And the point is, when you read the article, of course it's physically grueling, and the human body's not really capable. Mind takes over.
It's so interesting to me. I only have one version of this in my life. Do you know the term beer muscles?
Yeah.
It's like
When
a
you're
slang
out,
term where like you
drinking,
drink so much you want to fight.
Yeah.
I get sports muscles. Like
Give me an example.
I'll give you an example. If I go to a Jets-Patriots game,
Right.
and it's in New York, and a Patriot fan who looks like you, who clearly can beat me up, starts getting a little feisty, because usually that's what happens because the Pats win most of the time,
Right.
I literally go to a mental place where I'm willing to get so physically hurt in return to not allow that person to piss on my backyard.
But you're losing your self-awareness at that moment.
No. This is where I'm very self-aware. I recognize that I am by far the worst version of my human self during 3.5 hours of football on Sundays in the fall.
Right.
Like, it's the one place
Where you lose yourself.
where I'm willing to lose myself because I get so upset and I have absolutely no control. Because those fuckers on the field are fucking me up.
You need the Jets as a client.
The Jets are a client.
Nice.
They were the first client.
Nice.
So that was a lot of fun. And I want to buy the Jets, by the way.
All right, that's
like
fair. You know where you're going.
Yeah, that's a real fun. By the way, and to break into that, I think when you have ridiculous goals, like, there's that classic
Even if you come
saying.
close, it's good enough.
There's that classic, yeah, exactly.
Right,
Like you
right.
shoot here, you go here, like that thing.
Normally we take a break, but I'm having
Okay.
so much fun, I say we don't take a break.
I love it. Was that the finger thing?
Yeah, it was the finger
I was
thing,
like, I was getting scared. I was like, what the fuck is
yeah,
that?
let's just keep going.
Cool. Let's keep going. I know we're tight on time, so let's keep going. I can keep going.
So, what's going on out here? I walked
So
in.
now that I get a sense of like what your vibe is, I'll go with a different. I mean, what is this? This is very simple. This is a lot of people that are working on work. But what it really is the reason 5 years ago, back to self-awareness, back to trying to figure out how to win, what I call reverse engineering, right? Like, where are you going and then go backwards?
Sure.
My singular advantage is humans. Like,
Right. You just understand them.
generally understand them.
Right.
I'm a huge fan of them. Like, you know how like people like pets?
Yeah.
Like, I get crazy about that shit. When people are like, oh, this dog, fuck a dog. Like, I don't give a shit about trees or the environment. I'm people. I'm all in. I hate when like, people are like NFL players murder players, nothing. Michael Vick murders dogs, dead. Like, they're, now look, just so there's no confusion, I know a lot of people don't know me that are watching and listening to this. I don't condone any of that stuff. What I'm trying to make a big, bold statement about is I love human beings. I'm not even, you know what's so funny? I'm not even saying that. Because somebody may think differently. I just really like human beings a lot more than anything else. Right? I don't like nature. I don't like animals.
Doesn't matter where they come from.
No, clearly not. That's like the best part, right?
Right.
Especially as I'm coming from a nowhere place. I'm from Belarus, which is the last dictatorship in Europe, like a real scumbucket place. That like that's where I'm from. But I think that I think what this is I've built a company around my strength, which is I think I'm great at HR, I'm great at reading people. Am I always right? Of course not. Yeah. But boy, am I willing to instill into people. I think I'm a good motivator and a good leader. And what I'm really building is building teammates for the long term. I stand in front of this company, usually right there, and I also around this area. And once a quarter, sometimes once every 2 months, I'll give the talk that I need to for the company. Yeah. But always in there, I'll sneak in multiple times. Just want to remind everybody, I want you to work here forever. And something funny is happening. Now that we're starting to hit like year 3, even though we're 5 years in.
Plus big numbers. I mean, 475 people is a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. Nobody thinks it's scalable what I try to do. Yeah. And it's not. I mean, I don't, I could look around here and I know who everybody is, but am I as deep with Nate and Joe as I am with Whitney? I'm not. I know where I have my relationships, but my intent is so in the right place. So what I'm trying to build is human capital. Like, when I think about my autobiography, now getting into like legacy, like I play with a lot of titles, and for the last 18 months, I've been playing with, like, human empire. Like, how I built it was actually through the human beings.
I love it.
Yeah. Like, some people are math-driven. Some people, like, everybody has different skills. I think...
You're human-driven.
I think I'm liked more by my people, and I like them more. And, by the way, ultimately, that's why I'm liked more.
Did you see, I don't know if you saw the Super Bowl ad, but Reebok put out a suit. They're our main sponsor, and Be More Human. Because my thing was building better humans. That's what Spartan's all about. So,
I love it.
Yeah, we should...
Human is, like... Yeah. I mean, it's like, as technology kills the walls, purity starts over-indexing.
All right, so there's a bunch of people out there that are just trying to get out of bed in the morning. They're just trying to get motivated, right?
Yep.
What do you recommend? And you're motivating 475 people. How are you doing it?
Through using my own energy against them, right? Like look, honestly, you know what's ironic? And I was trying to articulate this answer. You actually helped me. The way I'm doing it here is by listening. Ironically, for a guy who loves to talk and loves to hear himself talk and can talk every minute of his life if he was allowed to, I think my biggest strength is listening, and it's silent cues too. Sometimes I'll just walk by somebody. I have that EQ thing, right? Like how you do, like that thing. I think that I think the person that's truly laying in bed and not motivated needs to. I break it up into two moves. One is you've got to find an outlet to over-communicate the pain that you're feeling, because you're clearly feeling pain if you're not motivated to get up, right? Like something's bothering you. Yeah. Like my mom chose not to have her childhood destroy her, but I would never, ever judge her if she did, because that's intense shit, right? Like some people have it really tough. Like bad things happen, right? Like things happen, and you choose to go one path. So one, how do you dump that poison?
Get rid of it.
How? And like communication's the way. Like actually saying, like there are literally people listening right now, literally, who are losing by all the standards that you've created here, because they have never said out loud the thing that bothers them. And I don't care who they tell, because it's a hell of a lot harder to tell your friends or family than it is somebody else. Or if they can just somehow, I think you see what I'm doing right now. I'm desperately trying to figure out how to create motivation right now, to have one person who's listening to this right now to tell somebody. Because I'm telling you, I've literally watched it multiple times in my life, and it is actually one of the most, weirdly one of the biggest highs that I can. I'm being selfish again if you're confused. It's an incredible high to help somebody do that. So number one, it's get that out.
Yeah.
The other version of it for me is to recognize, is to context. So I think tons of people are stuck in only being capable of looking at things for 30, 60, 90 days ahead. And so one of the things I try to tell people is, I remember when my best friend Brandon, who runs Wine Library with me and runs it now, when he lived above me in our apartments, and I would always try to hang out with him after work, and we'd get home at 9, we worked hard. I mean, I work way harder now, but this was a good solid 15-hour day. And I would always tell him, Brandon, you're going to be so pissed in 5 years, in 7 years, that your best friend lived right underneath you, and we didn't play an extra game of Madden or watch the game together. And of course, that's we talk about that all the time. I do that all the time, and so I think projecting, way too many people, everybody's like, oh shit, I wish I enjoyed high school more. Wasn't it great when we had recess? These are what kids are saying in high school. And in high school saying high school was awesome, and in college everybody says is the most awesome, because the next part you start getting progressively busier. All these 20-somethings have no idea how this is literally the best moments of their lives, because they're single and free in New York City.
Sure.
That's insanity, especially the guys. And so I think that I think the thing that people need to recognize is, and look, I might be an internal optimist, but I'm a big believer that the moment you have in front of you is always the best moment of your life, and you will look back, it's how humans act. It's crazy to me. I literally think back to 7 years ago as all these awesome things that just happened 7 years ago, and I still can't do them anymore, right? And it's weird stuff. Look, my kids are the greatest gift of my life. There's certain things that I regret that me and my wife didn't go on 5 to 7 more vacations when we were together, just us, because we can't just go now, right? And so
but you don't need all this.
I don't need dick.
Yeah.
So I don't need it. Just to put it, I'm in such a crazy place.
Yeah.
I only need one thing. There's only one thing that would suffocate me and kill me, not the ability to climb.
Right.
Got it?
Yeah.
So by the way, until I had kids, I had a weird thing. I had this weird dream of losing everything, so that I could rise again and show everybody, what do you think now, Dick? I fucking lost it all and came back. I'm weirdly darkly romantic to the
there's a psychological term for that. A lot of people want to purposely put themselves against the wall. Yeah.
Now I don't do I think I talk a little shit. It's painful, but I guess what I'm ultimately going to is I think I have the positive version of that, which is I love the climb.
Right.
I don't need this. I don't need what we had 300 people ago. I don't need the 300 people from now, but I need the climb.
How old are your kids?
5 and 3. 5 2 3/4.
The point you just made, though, are you going to look back? Because I think about this for myself. Are you going to look back and say, man, I could have spent more time?
100%.
All right, so what are you doing about that?
I do as much as I can, but it'll never be enough because every minute that I'm not there, like I'm pissed I'm not with them right now.
Right.
Because little Xander's going to do something awesome that I'll never see.
Sure.
So what I'm not is suffocated by the non-reality. Like, that's romantic, that's great. So the answer is yes. So what do? I push as hard in that direction while recognizing I need my own selfish accomplishments. And so I equally pull from opposite sides to create the biggest contradiction that I can.
Right. And you'll get the jets.
I think so. You know what's weird? I really think so. And I think ultimately, I made a video 5 years ago, D-Rock, you don't even know about this. I made a video, I have to find it, but I have it somewhere stored in the cloud, which who the hell knows what happens. But I'd be really pissed if I lost it because there's this video where I talk about, so I'm going to give you a good scoop, and I think I've said it once or twice, so I'm starting to talk about it more, which is interesting to me in its own self. I truly think the day I buy the Jets is going to be the worst day of my life.
Why?
Because I think I set this climb,
right,
and I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, this must be huge psychology in your world, right? Like, people win their race and they're, like, not happy, and then they have to do the next race, right? Like, you become a junkie. Like, I'm pretty fearful of pulling it off.
Yeah, the only way I think you're
then
going
I'm going to need to win Super Bowls.
Well,
That's the main reason.
I'm thinking, just listening to you, you're going to need to buy the Patriots and close them down.
You know what? I could be brilliant. That'd be a tough one to pull off. But, I think I like that you brought up the legacy thing. I'm very hung up on that.
Yeah.
I'm very, 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 very hung up on legacy.
Let's go make a legacy.
Let's do it.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks.
He is, I would say, a can of Red Bull humanized.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah,
He's just a complete madman.
Yeah.
You're skeptical.
No, I'm not skeptical at all. I mean, he is high energy, high level, high intensity guy. I mean, and it sounds like he's a self-made man.
Well, in the military, you must have seen some very high-ranking officials that were super high energy like that. Like they moved up because of that energy, no?
Probably not going.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that kind of either, it's not the right environment. You can have that kind of energy, that drive, but the display of it is not
acceptable.
It's just I don't think that I ever saw anything like that.
I dropped
Could
one
be
of our
around.
friends from up here off at the Mountain Warfare School with that much energy, and
It
wasn't well received. But
Did he come out?
Well, what is humble brag? I still don't know.
For example, couldn't believe my luck last week when Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie took me out for coffee. And it's like, you're pretending it's like, wow, but you're just, as an excuse to throw it in.
Yeah.
True stories, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Good humble bragging.
I forgot.
So Gary, I have some friends who recently gone to work for him, and he's just like this visionary, straight shooter, tells it like it is. It's super refreshing because a lot of times people try to gloss over and, not use concrete language that's just like, there's a lot of us that are like, what's your point? Here's how much time I have. People who are super busy. And, it's just like, get to your point, make it clear, and make an impact. And he does that.
Can I say I think about that a lot because the one thing I learned on Wall Street, which was awesome, was you have very limited time on the phone. Mm-hmm. And when you're on the phone with that client or however you're communicating, it's got to be very succinct because if he says buy and you misunderstand it for sell, or if you're dealing with derivatives, right, you could lose hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. And I think most people should communicate that way, certainly on the phone or via a device, as opposed to long, drawn-out conversations. What's the point?
I would have written less, but I didn't have time.
So anyway, you're right, refreshing in that respect.
Mm-hmm. I talked to you about that about difficult conversations. People beat around the bush, and they especially with a difficult conversation. And the more important the conversation is, the more likely they're to say, and try and give analogies and everything else. It's like, just say it.
Marion was doing that before. I was trying to get to the point, and she was like, voluminous, this, that, around the bush. Just give me the friggin' answer.
So, but yeah, in terms of a guy who obviously he teaches people how to message, and his message is pretty powerful, intense stuff. And
when we walked in his room to interview him, he had 2 or 3 cameras on. He was doing 2 or 3 podcasts at once already, or doing a document. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but
it was a bit of a filling out process between the two of you, wasn't there? I mean, I don't think he really knew who you were.
He didn't know who I
And
was.
I
I didn't know
really
who.
think you knew who he was
I didn't know who
either,
he
so-
was. Yeah.
I
So
also.
it's kind of interesting. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. We'll talk later.
Dang it.
Hey, no, you just jump in. To the point.
Here you go. To the point, Vaynerchuck. But the thing I also like you said about it, he was like, I obviously saw that everyone was going to buy stuff from the internet, and when you said like putting in your credit card to a computer, everyone was terrified of it, and now it's most generations don't even know that did not exist. So it's that visionary to believe in things. That everyone's like, you're crazy. Maybe a Spartan race. Everyone's like, what are you doing? And now everyone's like, how can I be a part of it? So it's people like that who not only have this directness, this forwardness, the hardworking skills, but like the confidence to take a crazy idea by most people's standards and be like, duh, see, it worked. Something.
The only place we disconnected him and I was, I just didn't understand the, hey, what about family? Like, he's clearly very successful.
No, but he was saying he was going to have regrets about not spending as much time with his family, so he knows that up front. But it's not that he's neglecting them totally. I think to me it sounded like more like he would like to spend more time, but there's only so much time you can give. You can't and still be successful. I mean,
Right.
there's a line somewhere.
It is what it is.
Military deployment too.
Well, I mean, it happens to every human, right? Everybody would rather spend more time with the people that they love as opposed to the people that they just have to work with. But this guy sounds like a great leader, right?
What
rather
category would we? Are we just people that you have to work with, or do you love us?
Well, I get, see, but you people are the ones I get to work with.
Good
as
answer.
opposed to I have to
Get.
work with.
We got to put a footnote back to our last podcast.
Right.
We talked about get and have to.
But what he talked about with, and he quickly just pointed out a few people, was that he knew the names of everybody. What did he talk about? 450 people working for him in a room there or something? And he was, it sounded like he could name off everybody and not just their name.
He was impressive.
Know a
in that
little
way,
bit about them, which not every boss can do. I mean, how many bosses actually ask you what's going on, what your kid's doing, whatever? I know that I've had a couple subordinates in my career where I had asked people that. And years later, they came back to me and said, I didn't understand why you were asking me. It wasn't until years later I figured out you actually wanted to know the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like I thought there was something.
Some angle.
Yeah, because people aren't used to people asking asking those kind of questions. And he seems like the real McCoy. I mean, it seems like he really, truly likes people and gets them. And that's what makes him successful.
Another example of success coming out of cruel, hard places. Right?
Yeah.
Parents in Russia. Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
For show notes, video, and audio of this episode, visit SpartanUpPodcast.com/048. Thank you for listening to another epic story of success. Get more at SpartanUpPodcast.com or follow us on Twitter at SpartanUpPod. Spartan Up Podcast is brought to you by Spartan Race.
Sign up for daily workout emails at Spartan.com.
He's like the I don't give a fuck you, let's do it of social media.